The trade deadline has passed, and we're here to talk all about it on the Purple Rain podcast. Welcome back to another Purple Rain report, and this one we got a lot of news to talk about. So once again, welcome back if you are new. If you could like the video for us, it would mean a whole lot.
Please.
And if you're not subscribed and you enjoy not just Ravens content but football content, hit that subscribe button. Would mean the absolute world.
Yes.
And you can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain podcast. We also forgot we're coming off of a victory on Thursday, by the way. Completely slipped my mind. It was Victory Friday. That was a beautiful day. But they can find this guy on Instagram, on Twitter, at SuttonDef. Follow me on Instagram at simplyas10.prod and on Twitter at simplyas10. And once again, gotta say it, we're also sponsored by Manscaped. All right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you want to get that, it's November. It is November 1st. The holidays are rapidly approaching.
Right.
Get it now. It saves you so much time and hassle. And if you do get something off Manscaped, use code PRP, 20% off, free shipping, saves you money, getting a gift. It's a win-win.
Yeah, it really is a win-win. Like you said, the free shipping, that's the best part. That's the kicker to me. But you got to think, this is November. It's November 1st, the time we're recording this episode. So it's officially what they call No Shave November for some. But that means that by the time you order your Manscaped and you get it in, you gift it to that person, they're probably going to be coming off that No Shave November. So make sure you go on manscaped.com and get them all their shaving needs for Christmas, for their birthday, whenever, whatever. And use that code PRP to save 20% off of your order. But again, thank you guys all for coming into this episode of the Purple Rain podcast, and a special episode of the Purple Rain Report. Indeed, post-trade deadline. We're going to talk about all that stuff. Got to bring up who's here in the live chat as we normally would. Devon Johnson's in here. Gilbert Melton is in here as well. I see Tanja Bowman. Hey, how you doing? I see Dami is in here. What's going on? Devontae Marshall. K-Dog. Mod K-Dog is in the house. That's No Shave November is for the face, not the junk. That's nasty. I should have clarified. You're right about that. Should have clarified. But that's how you know Manscaped is also good for the facial needs too. It's not just for the down there care,
Right.
It's good for the facial needs too, for up top for sure. Zach White is in the building as well as Marcel. I see you guys in here, man. We appreciate you guys for pulling up to this episode. The flock is in the building.
Yes.
The flock is in the building. We got shit to talk about. Excuse my language, but I'm kind of passionate about what we're talking about today. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So Alex, trade deadline passed about an hour and a half ago from when we're recording this video. As we know, the Ravens decided to opt for some defensive help instead of some offensive help. And that defensive help, which I'm very grateful for, comes in the package of Roquan Smith acquired from the Chicago Bears for a 2nd and a 5th round pick, and as well as AJ Klein as well. Now, Alex, what are your thoughts? What was your knee-jerk reaction? What was your next day reaction to the Ravens picking up Roquan Smith? What does this do for the 2022 Baltimore Ravens?
It gave me goosebumps. All right, I was driving. I was about to be home from I was dropping my girlfriend off at the airport yesterday. That's what it was. So I was driving home. I was in a bit of a sad mood, obviously, but I'm about to pull into my neighborhood, and I get this notification from Twitter saying the Ravens have traded for Roquan Smith. And I'm like, okay, no way. This is not true. But it was Jake Glazier. Very, very accurate. And I got the goosebumps. I'm like, oh my God, like we actually did something. When I hear Roquan Smith, I'm like, dude, like this guy, 3-down backer, professional. He was playing in Chicago where he didn't want to be at all. And he's coming to Baltimore where I think probably our weakest position on the defensive side of the ball by far. Josh Bynes is hurt. We don't know what's going on with him. We don't really have anybody next to Patrick Queen because Malik Harrison's been used as an edge rusher. Christian Welch is mainly a special teamer, and AJ Klein doesn't have a brain. He just gets 15-yard penalties on the sideline in big games. So it made complete sense. And to this day, I said it last night, I cannot believe we got him. I'm still in love with it. I'm going to be in love with it. So that was my first reaction from it. And yours?
Yeah. I mean, my first reaction from it, and you can actually probably see from the YouTube short that was posted the other day. I like it, but I don't love it. And the reason why I say that is because I felt like that there was a bigger need that needed to be addressed in order for us to kind of go what people would call all in for this
Yeah,
season.
yeah,
And I would say that that would have been wide receiver, and we'll get into that in a
yeah,
few minutes. But inside linebacker, as much as I do love to pick up, Roquan Smith leading the league in tackles thus far in this year right now. He's really good in space, really good in coverage, that sort of thing. He's a playmaker, hard hitter, that sort of thing. Love it, right? But inside linebacker is not a Super Bowl needle moving, pendulum swinging position, if you know what I mean. Like you're looking at your pass rushers, you're looking at your wide receivers, you're looking at your quarterback. Those are probably the most premier positions rather that you want to be keying in on if you want your team to be top tier. So I get we have Tyus Bowser coming back, we've got David Ajabo coming back from inactive, so I'm really excited to see how this defense meshes together, and I think that they could be scary. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I love the fact that Roquan Smith is on the team, but I only like the transaction from EDC. I can't say I love it because I felt like there were other issues that needed to be addressed outside of inside linebacker. Again, I think Patrick Queen was playing pretty well. I thought Queen was
yeah.
playing pretty well. But at the same time, I think this can actually help Patrick Queen as well because, it'll allow him to keep playing that weak side spot. And you'll see a lot more Patrick Queen blitzing through the offensive line because he's got, a Roquan Smith right there as well who's holding it down for him. But that was my knee-jerk reaction, my initial thoughts on it. I've had a day to kind of sit on it a little bit. So I'm kind of liking it more and more the more that I think about it. But at the same time, I am kind of, turned off by that no wide receiver move.
I'm not as turned off because I saw what Chase Claypool cost. We were never giving that up. Chase Claypool cost a second round pick. No, I after I saw that, I knew we weren't going to get a receiver. I wanted Kendrick Bourne from the Patriots, but that would have cost probably a second or third, and we don't even give that up. Uh, I really do. I want to help, but after seeing what he went for, do you think the Ravens were going to give any of that up? I knew it was, and you would think if we were all in, you would, but we know the Ravens, it wasn't going to happen for two players. For one, maybe, but for two, I mean, now I think it's a necessity to go out there and get Odell Beckham Jr. when he's healthy. We don't know what's going on for Sean Bateman. Even when he comes back, is he reliable? That's a big question. I hope he is. We've seen what he can do when he's healthy. The first 2 weeks, I think, when he was 100%, the first 2 weeks, we saw what he could do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's just it's very telling that the Ravens football philosophy, is the way that it is. I mean, you can see their idea of helping out the offense is getting how old is Deshaun Jackson? Like what, 35,
35.
36?
36,
35,
36 next month.
Yeah, so going on 36 wide receiver for the offense. That was the help for the offense. But the help for the defense is this young stud, Roquan Smith, 25-year-old, leads the league in tackles. It's just like it's night and day on how they kind of prioritize what they want to do. And that's why they're so lucky. They're blessed. The Ravens are blessed that Ozzie Newsome traded back up to in the first round a couple of years ago to get Lamar Jackson, because without him, oof, this thing would come crashing down. And it's just a shame to me. And I guess we've talked about Roquan Smith a little, and we can kind of seamlessly transition to the whole wide receiver talk thing because we're not holding you guys too long for this episode of the Purple Rain Report. We're just kind of getting here, punching the news for you guys, and then we're going to get out after we get some thoughts from you guys too. But I just don't understand why the Ravens don't see how important, how premium the wide receiver position is. Why are we not aggressive in the offseason trying to go out and get one of these big name guys? Because once again, you give a talented receiver to a young quarterback, and a young mobile quarterback at that. I'm talking about Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. You see what that does. We saw it with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. We saw it, or we see it right now. We see it right now with Tua Tagovailoa and Tyreek Hill. You give these young guys star receiver, star talent at receiver, it can transcend your entire team just like that. Just like that. And it seems like the Ravens don't really see it that way, which kind of frustrates me as a fan. Now, I get it. Fan is short for fanatic. If coaches and GMs listen to guys like me, then they'd probably be in my position, right? As a fanatic, as a fan. But that's just my opinion on it. What do you think about the whole Ravens philosophy and where they're going with the receiving group and things like that?
I mean, like I said, they were never going to make a trade in this trade deadline. Like I said, Claypool going for a second. We literally gave up a second and a fifth, I believe, for an all-pro is 2-time second-team All-Pro, leads the league in tackles, one of 2 linebackers ever, I believe, to in 4 seasons. Yeah, it's this crazy stat. I'm just going to read off about him because I'm that much in love with it.
Sure.
He's one of 2 players in the last 30 seasons with 100 tackles, 2 sacks, and 1 interception. Yeah, him and Ray Lewis. And they gave up a second-round pick for, I think, Pittsburgh's wide receiver 2 or 3, not even their 1. So, like that I get now. Something that kind of did rub me the wrong way is Calvin really got traded today for like a conditional like 5th. It can be a 4th or maybe a 2nd at most. I would love that, but he's not back until next year, which is still backwards because I don't know how he gets a full year for betting, not even on his own team. But we have a sexual predator about to come back soon. But now that is something I can definitely agree with you on. Like I think we could have been all over the Calvin Ridley. Like I don't know why we didn't even. What do you want for him? I mean, I'll play devil's advocate. Even if 8 isn't here next year, which I would cry if he isn't, you're still you could have somebody a weapon if you want to bring in somebody new. Like I said, I hope it doesn't happen, but it's a win-win even if you have him for next year. And if you do get him, it's like, okay, Lamar, now look, you actually have a receiver, a first-round talent who has proven 1,000-yard receiver. You have him with Bateman, with Duvernay, with Mark Andrews. That's looking pretty good for next year. And along with whatever else we get. But yeah, I don't know why we don't value receivers. We just never have, it feels like. Or if we do, it's an old veteran on the street, and we've talked about it. You can't get good receivers on the street. They're not going to be free agents if they're that good.
Yeah. That's the thing. I feel like the Ravens, they're not very intentional about the wide receiver spot. They kind of, they get these guys who are past their primes later in their career, or they'll try to draft guys and just hope. They don't draft them too high, but they'll just draft them, late first round, second, third, fourth round, that sort of thing, and just kind of hope that they stick. They're not being as intentional as a team like the Eagles who are going out, hey, look, no, we're going to go get A.J. Brown. The Seahawks, we're going to get DK Metcalf, the biggest guy in the draft when it comes to the receiving group, because we just feel like that can make an impact. We don't have that same sort of thought process when it comes to picking up, our guys. So, totally agree with you there. I think we're going to go ahead and get into some of what the Rain Gang is saying in the chat here. A lot of you guys are commenting. Let me scroll back up here. Let me see what you guys are saying. Let's start it off with Mod K-Dog here. It says, would a true number 1 wide receiver make us truly better? We have only trailed for 120 seconds when we had 3 losses.
I think this is a great point, number 1. We were winning in these games. I don't think who can I just throw out there that was, what a Chase Claypool. What if we had him? Would we have won these? We would have lost them, I think, still 100%. I just think, even we're looking for a receiver, but we have now. It took us 3 years to get Devin Duvernay an actual position on this offense. It took us how many games to get Isaiah Likely involved when he was touted better than George Pickens in the preseason? That's no shot. Please don't take it as a shot. It's offensive philosophy that is still in question. It took us throwing 30 times in the first half to see adjustments from Greg Roman in the second half this past Thursday, which was that first half was honestly a nightmare. It was a snooze. It was an Amazon Thursday snooze fest at first. It was terrible. Now I think if we had Roquan in a couple of these games, we probably would have won one of them or 2 of them. But I'm from the train of thought, well, I wouldn't mind both. But if you're going to ask me, do I want Roquan Smith or I don't know who was one of these guys I was going to get traded? I'm taking Roquan, unfortunately. If I want a receiver, I want a guy who's going to change the game, not another Demarcus Robinson, with all due respect.
Sure. No, I can definitely agree with that. A little bit pushback here from Tanja Bowman. Says Bateman stays hurt. Our receivers got shut down by corners in the Bucs game. What do you think is going to happen in the playoffs? It's a good point.
Yep. I mean, why did we sign Andy Isabella or Deshaun Jackson?
Yeah. Let me see what else you guys are saying here. See Oscar P coming through, says new to the channel. Glad I found y'all.
Welcome, Oscar.
Welcome to the Rain Gang. Yeah, part of the family now. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel as well if you are new, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast. You can find all updates on everything having to do with the show. Let me see. Oh no, K-Dog, firing it off hard here. It says Bateman in my book is now Busman. Let's be fair. If this were Hollywood, y'all would have been slandering him. Ooh, does K-Dog have a point here, Alex?
I think he does.
Ooh.
I do. I in Hollywood's second year, couple of drops. the Colts game, the Browns game written off. I mean, it's just unfortunate, and they both have had injuries. That's the thing too. Like we're drafting these guys, and they aren't even fully healthy. I mean, Bateman got hurt his first year, hurt this year, and we still think that there's something all right with this strength and conditioning staff. I think that's my biggest question right there too.
Yeah.
I mean, Bateman does have a lot to prove. I mean, but I'm fully behind him.
Yeah. Majin Bull saying here, Ravens are all in on having a ceiling of the divisional round. You know, I and just kind of talking about the Roquan Smith signing or the trade rather. I like it a lot because when you look at the playoffs, you know, we're probably gonna be playing teams like the Titans, you know, first round, maybe, you know, of course, eventually the Bills, that sort of thing. There's gonna be some nasty teams who can run all over you, you know, and in cold weather, I'm taking Roquan Smith, man, in Baltimore around that with everybody else around him and the other pieces in that defense. I'm taking Roquan Smith to ball out late in the season if he can stay healthy. Tackles all over the place. I'm talking leading the team in tackles. Him and Patrick Queen flying all over the place. I can see that happening, but at the same time, we have to score points. This 20 points a game shit is not cutting it. It's not.
No. Like I said last week, I'll touch on that too. Is the first half was abysmal, man. Like what were we doing? Well, and like I said, I respect the way DeMarcus Robinson plays, but I'm sorry, the way he was celebrating after some of these catches, bro, it wasn't even a first down. Like we need so much more of this offense, and we're just not getting it. Like our offensive line is doing its job. I see Tyler Linderbaum taking Devin White, a top, I believe, 10 overall pick, and mauling him to the ground like it's nothing. Linderbaum is 22, and he's doing this. Like I want to see more from the receivers, and I don't know, man. I like I said, hopefully we see something from the guys we got on the practice squad. But even that, we shouldn't be going there. We should have had this dealt before the season started. And the fact that kind of what was weird is that why would you say that Rashad Bateman's going to be out and possibly an IR candidate right before the trade deadline? That makes the asking price. If the Ravens call you and ask you for a receiver, they're going to bump it up even more because they know you're desperate. Like that was very dumb, I believe, just saying, why would you say that if you were looking for a receiver?
Yeah.
If it was a fourth round pick, they're going to ask for a third now because they know you need a receiver.
Yeah, I mean, definitely need a receiver for sure. And talking about Mark Andrews, you know, that's kind of like our de facto number one receiver. Majin Bull saying here also Andrews disappears in the playoffs. We really don't see too much of Mark Andrews in the playoffs now that you think about it, but that's mainly because teams know that that's our number one go-to. And in the playoffs, all you want to do is just take away the number one go-to, you know, make them do something else. That's why we don't see a whole lot of Andrews. And when opportunities do come his way, sometimes he does have those drops, you know, in the playoffs, which we've seen multiple times. But
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of questions. I think it's on the offense. I don't have that many questions on the defense anymore. I see Ojabo and Bowser got activated. My only question maybe defense quarterback 3. That's my only question mark on that defense. Yeah. I think it's going to be nasty, and we're going to find out if defense does win championships now, because that is a nasty defense.
Mm-hmm. And if defense doesn't win the Ravens a championship after the season, you got to like think that the Ravens take a step back and, you know, evaluate themselves. Because obviously this Roquan Smith thing is really a rental. Because I don't know if we plan on paying him the bag next season. I just don't know. So, you know, if we don't go out and have playoff success, get a Super Bowl, whatever, now we just wasted capital on Roquan Smith. And yes, we'll probably get like a third round compensatory pick if he decides to walk, that sort of thing. But it's like now we're just kind of right back to square one, right? So
that compensatory pick BS, man. Like Roquan Smith is a literal. Honestly, maybe I'm too purple glasses right now. He's arguably the best linebacker in the AFC right now. I'll say it. I will gladly say it. If you don't sit here and try to re-sign him, and like he doesn't have an agent, he's like Lamar doesn't have an agent. I hope Eric DaCosta is a madman, understands how much pressure he's putting on himself. Because I expect, as a Raven fan, who I think that we should be challenging every year, I want both of them back. I want both of them to extensions. I get it's probably hard. I really don't care. That's what you're paid to do. These are guys that, if you're a good team, you find out a way to lock them up. And there's no way he should be a rental at all. He's too good for me to be a rental.
Well, he will be playing on Monday night against the Saints, so we'll get to see him live and
And
in
Alvin
action.
Kamara already talking trash.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't hear about that.
he tweeted the yawn emoji literally right when Roquan got traded yesterday. It's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a good
Okay,
one.
yeah, it'll definitely be good. He's gonna be saying hello to a lot more than just Roquan Smith too. Let me see.
Yeah.
So we have our first super chat donation. This one coming from Savix. Thank you so much, Savix. We appreciate you. Says, yo, Sutton, congrats over your win over TJ Dillashaw and Roquan's the GOAT. Let's go, Ravens. Are you comparing me to one Aljamain Sterling? I don't think I look like Aljamain Sterling. I don't have long hair anymore. You guys notice I cut my hair.
Yeah.
So,
It's
like, I'm
gone.
not,
Chopped off.
it's gone. But thank you so much, Savix, for that super chat donation. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So we'll take a couple more like
Get the questions in.
questions,
I
comments,
mean,
concerns in here. Go ahead and throw those in the chat right
we can
now.
talk about while they're getting them in. I'll talk about other NFL stuff real quick. The
Go ahead.
Dolphins.
Sure. Yeah.
You want to talk about all in? The Dolphins had 3 first-round picks that they got. They're all gone now. Traded up, I believe, for Waddle. Went to the Tyreek trade, and now for Bradley Chubb. They had Chubb and Jalen Phillips, who we were both big admirers of in the 2020 draft. I respect what the Dolphins are doing, and they traded, I think, a 5th-round pick for Jeff Wilson, so Mike McDaniel getting another former 49er in that offense. I mean, good for them. I'm happy we don't have to play them 2 times a year because that is a scary team.
Well, hey, I mean, that's one team for sure that is seemingly, and I feel like this is a good talking point. What teams post a trade deadline are obviously going what you would call all in on the rest of the season? So the Dolphins, I think the Vikings as well. They got TJ Hawkinson now.
Dude, listen, you know I like the Lions. What the hell are they doing? What the hell are they doing?
They're punting on their season.
Yeah, that kind of hurts me because like they had the offense, and now it's like the defense was dead last, and now they're just giving up. Just giving up.
Well, I mean, what are they, like 1-5, 1-6, or something like that?
Yeah, they're 1-6.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, 1-6 is kind of time, you know, kind of like where the Steelers are. The Steelers, they probably won't punt on their season because they have too much pride to do so.
Yeah,
but they're not going anywhere. I don't think they're doing
because
anything. But
they got William Jackson from the Commanders. That was a little bit of a head scratcher, but I guess I understand
I
it.
see that.
Yeah.
Any other teams you think?
The Bills. I see somebody said the Bills. Yep, Devon said the Bills. They got Naheem Hines from the Colts, and they traded I think Zach Moss in a 5th. Yeah.
Real quick. Thanks again for your super chat donation. Saving says you're huskier than Aljo. I definitely am. I know I weigh more than Aljamain Sterling. I think he probably walks around like 150 or so. I would assume, maybe 160. But
let me just see some other ones. Chase Edmonds went to the Broncos in that trade back. That was just today. What was other? Obviously, the Christian McCaffrey started it off.
Right.
The Robert Quinn, obviously, the Eagles. I thought that was a great trade. They get some more help on the defense.
Eagles. That's another team going all in for sure.
Yeah.
As they should.
I mean, I don't really think as an all in. Dolphins. We talk about Dolphins.
Yeah.
And then Vikings. That's really the Bears kind of confuse me though. That Claypool pick really confuses me. I just they gave up a 2nd-round pick, and it was the Bears' 2nd-round pick. So the Bears aren't going to be that good this year. So it's going to be a better pick for the Steelers. If you give them the Ravens' 2nd-round pick, it would have been a higher. It was weird, very weird.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know the Vikings were 6-1 until this past week when I was watching them. The Vikings have a pretty good team. I'll give it to them.
Sneaky good season. Yeah.
And the only loss was to the Eagles, and people were like overreacting. It's the 7-0 Eagles. You know, undefeated.
All right. Let's see what else you guys are saying in here. Rainmaker says Eagles were already stacked and tried to get McCaffrey and have the deepest D-line and traded for Robert Quinn. We need Howie's fearlessness.
I heard they were trying to get Kamara too.
Trying to get Kamara.
I did
hear about that.
I was surprised DeAndre Swift didn't get more like trade talks again. I would have liked us to get one of their cornerbacks in Detroit, have a 3rd one here, but it is what it is.
Yeah. 90 people watching live right now. Thank you guys so much for coming out to this episode of the Purple Rain Report, a live Purple Rain Report. We normally pre-record these, but today we're doing it live. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. We'd appreciate it. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain podcast. Let me see what else you guys are saying down here.
I did just see the Seahawks released Sidney Jones, a defensive back they were trying to trade. I think as Ravens fans, I know teams are going to be releasing players like that. Something to keep your eye on because it's not draft capital, but just be on the lookout because I think the Ravens could maybe make one more move if a team releases a player.
It's possible. We'll see. Yeah, Jonathan Washington Jr. just put that piece of news in the chat as well. So
thank you.
Let me see. Baltimore Don C. The Don is in the
Don.
house. What's going on, Don? Says I'm over the whole receiver thing. Ravens view tight ends as receivers, and we do. Yeah.
That's
you saw us trying to force feed Mark Andrews in that Bucks game early on.
Yeah, that's not going to win you games, unfortunately. I am sorry. Like the whole tight end stuff. No, not every tight end is Mark Andrews, and Isaiah Likely had a great game. I hope we see more from him. And Kolar's coming back, but you need your receivers, man. You need them. I mean, I look the Dolphins, Waddle and Hill. Look what they. I think they are top. Both of them are like top 5 in receiving yards. Insane, freaking insane. I just want one Raven player in that, but
I mean, you're right. And to Don's point here, the Ravens, they view tight ends as receivers. I really am excited to see what Isaiah Likely has to offer going forward. Like I said a couple weeks ago, man, I feel like he really just needed that first touchdown or first breakout game to kind of get his confidence up for the NFL, and I think he has that now. So I think they're going to try to incorporate him more into the game plan, which I think that they should, especially with Bateman being out there, is more targets to go around. So I'm excited to see what he does. Mark Andrews, I don't know with what is it, his knee?
Shoulder.
Oh, I think it's both, isn't it? Because he just hurt the shoulder. Yeah.
There it is. He had the knee dealing with last week and now the shoulder. Oh, lovely.
So he's a little banged up. I don't expect to see as much work going his way. So that opens up even more opportunities for an Isaiah Likely. Then kind of flipping it onto the other side of the football, and I just want to talk about this really quick. Again, David Ojabo and Tyus Bowser, they have been activated to the 53-man roster. It is official now. Those guys are going to be eligible to play on Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, whenever you want to play some football. They're going to be eligible to play. Yeah. I'm excited to see what those guys can do when they get back. And, kind of in preparation for it, I was watching some of David Ojabo's Michigan highlights the other day. And oh my goodness, man, I cannot wait to see those pass rush moves on our defense, man. And then Tyus Bowser, of course, leading our team in sacks last year. This is going to be a defense, especially think about when we get Marcus Williams back too. Oh my goodness, man.
I was thinking about we're missing Michael Pearson and Kyle Fuller. We're missing 2 of the guys we picked up in the it's insane, like how good this defense would really be. And just touching on the receiver, I think we've forgotten about the weapon X on this offense, Pat Ricard. I mean, he's running routes out the slot. I mean, maybe that's the receiver we needed the whole time was Pat Ricard in the slot.
Yeah, I mean, Rainmaker saying here, unless Ojabo turns into Lawrence Taylor, we still need a wide receiver. And then I see Tanja Bowman saying here, says tight ends don't play the perimeter and are not full route runners. Tight end is not receiver. I think that's a really good point there from Tanja Bowman. This is a good point because we really don't see a whole lot of passing work outside the numbers. We haven't really seen it that much this year. The stuff that we have seen, especially the stuff down the field, is mainly what I'm talking about. Take, for example, that play against I want to say it was the Browns when, what's his name? Duvernay had that deep catch early in the game. More of that. Tight ends don't necessarily do that sort of thing. And if you notice, a lot of times Lamar throws up wide receiver passes to tight ends. So what I mean by that is this. Have you ever seen Mark Andrews running like what seems like a go route? He's got like a step on a guy and he's like, trying to catch an over the shoulder pass into the end zone. Yep. Those type of passes normally are not meant for tight ends. They're meant for receivers to go over the shoulder and catch those. And we've seen time and time again Lamar and Mark Andrews miss each other on that play because it's just not designed to work like that.
No, and it's been big plays too, very big plays. And I see people talking about Byron says, surprised we haven't dealt Boyle or Oliver. I think Oliver will be on this team next year or two. With Nick Boyle, listen, I love him. but we're obviously not using him. We obviously view Boyle and Oliver as blocking tight ends, and Oliver is cheaper. That's just the facts. But I think Boyle is like $4 million cap hit, and we're not even playing him. The only reason he got snaps was because Mark Andrews was out. Just it's little things like that money can add up, and when we really could have already made a move, Rainmaker. There you go. We're gonna have 5 when Kolar is back. What team keeps 5 tight ends on their active roster? This is not the 1960s where it's run. Okay, maybe a pass. No, it's the 2022. And we all saw that stat they played about what team plays the least amount of packages with 3 wide receivers. The Ravens. We all saw that stat.
Yeah. And like we always say, that the Ravens, their philosophy. Everybody else is zigging, the Ravens are zagging. That's what we're doing, So I know it's so annoying. It's so annoying to hear that. I know for all 111 people watching live right now. Thank you guys so much for coming through. I know that's annoying to hear. You don't want to hear that the Ravens are zigging while the rest of the league is zagging. I get it, but that's what they do, and that's why I said, like, at the end of the season, if the Ravens don't have postseason success, they're gonna actually have to take a step back and say, "Hey, look, this is who we are." But who we are is not working. It's not winning us championships in this day and age of football. So maybe we need to pivot to a different direction. Maybe that means a new head coach. Maybe that means, just a new regime totally. Who knows? But I don't know. Let me see. Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm just still, like I said, I'm still over the moon about Roquan. Depending how we do this season, listen, I said before AFC Championship, I still think we got to make the AFC Championship because there is still that little hump at the AFC Divisional. We got to get over that. I really don't have any more questions about the defense. It's all the offense now. It is, can we put up enough points? Because I thought our defense, I'm going to go back to 2018, that Chargers game. We did go down. I thought the defense, for being on the field as much as they did, they held their own. The offense couldn't in 2018. 2019, it was just poor. 2020, both games, defense played amazing. It's really not the defense; it's the offense. And you would think that we put a little bit more capital in, and trade for a receiver, get us over the hump. But no. And just how banged up the Bucs were, you're not going to play that team every week, unfortunately. And what looks good for us, I'll get a little positivity. The AFC North, honestly, I think it's ours to lose. I am very confident in us in the AFC North. I think we're 2-0. The Bengals are 0-3 in North play. It's going to be hard for them to come back from that in division. I still think they can make the playoffs, but just a little bit of positivity. I think we should be able to win this division with ease, hopefully, but it's a long season, just on paper. I mean, I'm looking at you, Harbaugh. This team is good. You just need to find a way to get it together and sign Odell and then make a run at that point. That's all I can really ask for. Make a run. Get hot at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, that's really all there is to it. And that's how the Ravens have done. I mean, you think about that 2012 Super Bowl run. There was a lot of turmoil, a lot of, just bad things happening.
Oh, my God.
What was it, like a 3 or 4 game loss streak, something like that?
Got blown out by the fucking Broncos. Joe Flacco was on his freaking stomach after chasing after a pick 6. And then after that, we turned it on, beat the Giants, won the division, had Tyrod playing in Cincy. Then we just fucking won the whole thing. Let's do it again. 10 years later.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead. I'll take a couple more comments here before we get out of here for this episode. Like the Don says here, please like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. We got to do our 5-second, like thing. We got to give it. Let's give it 5 seconds. So 5 seconds. Everybody just like the video. Take that time to like the video. Ready and go. Appreciate you guys for liking the video.
It was hard to keep a straight face there. It's always the worst time you don't want to laugh. Like you're in class and somebody you stare at your friend and just you don't want to laugh, but you just have
to. Only thing funnier than 24 is 25.
25,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Let me see. So Joshua Weinbender.
Oh,
thank you for coming through to this episode. Says, and this is getting close to the point when people are going to focus on stopping the run. Unless we get respectable at the pass, it will be a nightmare.
Okay, I'm glad you brought up the run. You actually made me think of something else. Gus Edwards is probably going to be out against the Saints. We may actually see the Tyler Beatty NFL debut. Kenyon Drake, Mike Davis, Tyler Beatty.
You think
Even
they
with
call him
that,
up?
I think they have. I think the Ravens will be Justice Hill too, but I think you would think he would maybe finally get some time to play. But even with that, I mean, the receivers have to step up that game because I like Kenyon Drake, I do, but he's not popping off what Gus Edwards is doing. He had that big run on Thursday, but what Gus Edwards does every single run, getting you 4 or 5. Kenyon Drake isn't going to do that. So we're going to be Joshua. They're going to challenge us on Monday. We'll see it as soon as our next game how this passing game will do.
Yeah, we will. That we will. Let me see. Jonathan Washington Jr. says defense has no excuses not to play lights out. Ravens invested all their money and all their resources into it. They better show up like the 2000 Ravens, because if not, they just wasted more time and more money.
Yeah, that's including a number 14 overall pick who doesn't really play a lot of the snaps, but is improving every week. So the defense has to step up.
King95 in the house says, my guys, what's going on, King? Appreciate you for coming through. Tyrone Jones says, Drake and Justice Hill should be okay.
Should.
Fingers crossed, but, not really putting too much stock into that.
Playing the Saints defense and just shut out the Raiders. So their confidence is sky high right now.
Let's go ahead and end it with this one right here from Rainmaker. Says, Sean Payton took a mediocre Taysom Hill and made him relevant. Imagine what he could do with Lamar.
I'm just thinking about those choke jobs he had, unfortunately. They throw me off big time. And Taysom Hill is just a great athlete and football player, not a great quarterback.
Yeah, I can definitely say that for sure. Let's see. Jonathan Washington says, Giro for the rest of the season needs to stick with what works, spread the offense out, emphasize the quick passing game. Yeah. Get Lamar in a rhythm early.
I was about to say the same thing. Get Lamar in a rhythm.
See?
That's literally all you have to do. Like there's no, it's not a secret or not even a coincidence that our 2-minute drills, Lamar's just dotting them up. Dot. Get him in a rhythm. Is it really that hard to ask for? Is that too much to ask for?
Exactly. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of you guys' hair for this episode of the Purple Rain Report. Thank you guys so much for coming through. Make sure you like the video. Again, if you have not already liked the video, it helps us out a ton here at the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel.
We're at 62. So thank you. 70 before we get off. Thank you. Thank you. I would love that. I would absolutely love that. And thank you everybody coming out on very short notice on a Tuesday, not on a Monday or a Thursday, but thank you to everybody coming out. And as always, if you want to get something on Manscaped, just go PRP, 20% off and free shipping. And as always, stay positive, test negative.
And never, ever, ever forget to call God. There's been yet another episode of the Purple Rain Report. Make sure you like the video, subscribe if you are new. We're going to catch you guys in the next one.